Nairobi. Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the program Business Time, right here on Times Television, courtesy of Skyband. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country and beyond. In the program today, industry cries for better conditions. We have a report, and tobacco estimates slash to 193 million kilograms. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned if you could. Hello and welcome. In our main story in the program today, industry captains through their umbrella body, the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI, has called on the government to consider facilitating creation of an enabling environment that would spur economic growth. MCCCI Chief Executive Officer Chancellor Kafera Banjira said this during the 2019 second chapter meeting the chamber organized in Blantyre on Friday. We have the detail in this report by Sharon Chirwa.
The forum was created for the private sector players to scrutinize the operating environment and brainstorm input into the next budget.
The main objective of this meeting is to look at the issues that need to go into the budget for 2019-2020. As you are aware, the national budget has still not been formulated because this was an election year and there was a delay in the budget process, which is normal in any election year. So we had convened this meeting for the business community, our members based in the southern region, to basically look at that in order to get their feedback. I must hasten to say that the issues that we presented to them were already presented to the Minister of Finance when he had a pre-budget consultation on 26th July here in Blantyre, but we needed to refine some of the issues because the Minister has invited us to have more detailed discussion on the issues. So we needed to go back to our members and say, these are the issues we presented on your behalf, and we needed to refine them.
He said businesses are currently operating in a very tough environment and that there is need for incentives that would spur private sector growth. Yes,
I think the major inputs from the business community is that the government must make sure that it induces their productivity. I think the challenge is, yes, we accept that we are in a globalized economy. As a Malawi, we are a member of regional bodies like COMESA, SADC, and obviously now there's the African Union, the free trade area. We are also part of the global world, basically a member of the WTO. So businesses are saying, government needs to focus on measures that will induce or will encourage them to become more productive. So issues of incentives, issues of infrastructure, such as electricity and even roads and stuff like that, must be put in place to make sure that our businesses expand, take advantage of the investment opportunities that are bound here, and therefore employ more people, and then we get going as a country. So basically, I think the comments are around that.
MCCCI also used the meeting to propose the establishment of an arbitration center, which it says will ease the solving of business-related disputes.
So basically, that's the main issue. Obviously, there's another issue. As a chamber, we also intended to establish an arbitration center. An arbitration center, acts like a court for businesses, a court in courts, because when businesses have disagreements, they need to resolve the disagreements amongst themselves rather than going to court. Sometimes when you go to court, you create enmities. But if you're in business, you want to continue doing business with the one with whom you have a disagreement. So an arbitration center is much more friendlier than the courts. So these are the two areas which we have been focusing on this morning. So we're in the process. We hope that maybe by end of next year, maybe, because it's a process, it takes a bit of time. We have to train arbitrators, and these are people we have to train maybe outside Malawi, or invite somebody else from institutions that to train them to come here. So it's a process that we have to do very well. And you know, the arbitration center has also got to be accepted by the business community. That's why we are making this presentation, and we have to do more publicity so that one, the center is known in Malawi, and it's also acceptable, because as you are aware, any kind of court system has to be acceptable to everyone. So everyone who wants to take part in this arbitration process, or to want to use it, must know that it is it is a center which is really acceptable. But we know that it works in a number of countries, and it saves a lot of costs. It saves time also, and also it saves the future of businesses, because once you agree at an arbitration center, you know, you are actually you are assured of future businesses also.
Preliminary results of the third and final round tobacco crop estimate point to a possible drop of the leaf's output this year, the Times has learnt. Figures we have seen show that the country is estimated to have produced 193.5 million kilograms of the leaf, down from the initial 205 million kilograms estimate. This might influence tobacco prices on the market, currently in its 16th week. Chimwemwe Mangazi has the whole story.
Figures that we've seen have shown that the country is estimated to have produced 193.5 million kilograms of the leaf, down from the initial 205 million kilogram estimate. This might influence tobacco prices on the market, currently in its 16th week. Last year, the country realized $336 million after selling 202 million kilograms of all types of tobacco. Tobacco buyers earlier pledged to buy 151 million kilograms of the leaf in this season. Tobacco Commission Corporate Planning and Development Manager Helings Nasoni said the Commission was yet to release official results of the estimates tobacco stakeholders conducted a few weeks ago. Tobacco Association of Malawi, TAMA, said the drop was not surprising. While saying they were yet to be furnished with the official estimates, TAMA Chief Executive Officer Felix Tole said the situation might be attributed to harsh weather conditions experienced in some parts of the country this season.
Of course, as of now, we haven't yet received the official communication from the Tobacco Commission with regard to the results of the recent estimate. But if that is the case, it's not surprising, because you know, some of the areas in the country were affected by the cyclone Idai, and those heavy continuous rains towards the end of the rainy season did, you know, some of the things, so that obviously there was that leach down of nutrients from the, and that caused some weight loss, you know, on the plant. So obviously that could affect the initial figures, which were estimated to be somewhere around 205. So it's not surprising. That was expected because of those rains towards the end of the end of the rainy season.
Africa Institute of Corporate Citizenship Chief Executive Officer Felix Lombe said the development was expected and predicted a further decline in the next few years. He said the country should expect reduction by 25% in the next 3 years because farmers are frustrated with prices offered and overall income from the crop, and the regulatory framework is not in their best interest. Meanwhile, the country has realized $183.1 million from the sale of 123.2 million kilograms of tobacco at an average price of $1.45. The value is 29% lower than the $257 million earned during the same time last year, while the volumes are 16% shy of the 147.3 million kilograms sold during the same period last year at an average price of $1.74.
Remember, this is Business Time right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country and beyond, courtesy of Skyband. My name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The government has asked the African Development Bank to consider bankrolling a successor project of the $14 million worth competitiveness and job creation initiative. The project was aimed at contributing towards poverty reduction in the country through private sector-led sustainable pro-poor economic growth and socio-economic development. More in this report by Chimwemwe Mangazi.
The project was aimed at contributing towards poverty reduction in the country through private sector-led sustainable pro-poor economic growth and socio-economic development. The initiative was rolled to empower industry players to take a leading role in facilitating creation of job opportunities, especially for the youth. Speaking after opening Namulenga Cooperative Warehouse in Mulanje District on Friday, Minister of Industry, Trade and Tourism Salim Bagas said the predecessor project has proven effective. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to supporting SMEs and cooperatives by creating a conducive environment with good infrastructure and modern technologies.
You see, we have come here today at Namulenga Cooperative to hand over the warehouse on behalf of the President. You see, Malawi was lagging behind such an initiative because, you see, farmers were operating individually. But by constructing such a warehouse, this has brought farmers together so that they must not lose prices. You see, because they had no storage. Now they have storage, they can be able to keep their proceeds if they think the price is not fair until such a time when they think they have got a good price and they can also offload their commodities. For government, we are very much impressed that these cooperatives will actually alleviate poverty in this area as well as in their families, because I'm sure though the pigeon peas prices are not fair at the moment, but the government is doing everything possible to make sure that we negotiate the price of pigeon peas with stakeholders.
AFDB Social Development Officer John Ngambi said the bank is ready to negotiate with the government on a new project.
This project was designed in 2012, basically to improve competitiveness of the farmers and help them to earn higher income so that it can help them to reduce poverty and also to promote private sector development in the country. Our impression is that the objectives of the project have largely been met, because so far we are trying to help the farmers through this project to increase productivity. We have witnessed an increase in production of about 30 to 35% for selected crops like soya beans and pigeon peas. We have also seen that after the project was completed in March this year, we undertook a beneficiary impact assessment in partnership with government, and we noted that there has been an increase of about 38% in the income that farmers are earning through this project, mainly because of increase in production and also improvement in the prices that the sellers are offering the cooperatives. All this is because they are able to stockpile their crops and sell them at the right time when the prices have improved.
Rex Chinkango is secretary for Namulenga Cooperative.
In this warehouse, we will help, and again we will continuously help the farmers from this tier and tier Juma in different ways. One, the farmers, they are able to collect their produce and conquer and sell them together. With this, we are going to benefit a good price from different buyers. Yes.
And Robert Nazitwere works for AHCX, one of the country's structured market for agriculture producers.
Yes, the first thing that we are encouraging the cooperatives is the post-harvest handling. you will notice that with the structures like this, it's very easy now for farmers to bring their produce together, but also to keep it for a long time. That is going to help them to reap from the proceeds of the sales of their produce. But at the same time, we are encouraging to work with the cooperatives, because it means when they bring their produce together, they have a very high chance of obtaining higher prices because of collective marketing. And as a structured market, we want these farmers to be able to even export their commodities to foreign markets from facilities such as this. So we are working together with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism to link these cooperatives to a structured market so that they are able to benefit more than to be selling to traders who just rip them off.
The project targeted 20,000 existing and 5,000 new pulse farmers and 40,000 existing and 10,000 new edible oil farmers in the soybean and pigeon pea value chains. It was piloted in 9 districts of Nzimba, Kasungu, Dowa, Lilongwe, Dedza, Zomba, Chirazulu, Tyoro and Mulanje.
Now, Reserve Bank of Malawi has revised upwards 2019 annual inflation projection from 8% to 9% owing to elevated maize prices. In its monetary policy report issued last week, RBM, however, says this is temporary and will likely unwind in the near future. Inflation picked up in the second quarter of 2019 to 9% from 8.7% recorded in the previous quarter. We have the whole story in this report.
The increase was largely on the account of food price developments. Food inflation averaged 13.5% in the second quarter from 11.9% in the first quarter, propelled by high maize prices. Maize prices have been on an upward spiral in the past weeks, a development commentators has blamed on speculation. Spot checks in some produce markets in the country's major cities of Lilongwe, Blantyre, Zomba and Mzuzu show that a 50-kilogram bag is now selling between 9,500 and 10,500 from 8,500 early July. As part of the food component, maize, the country's staple food, impacts the country's economy as it accounts for 45.2% in the Consumer Price Index, an aggregate basket of goods and services for computing inflation. This year's maize surplus was estimated at 355,000 metric tons out of the total output of 3.3 million metric tons. In July 2019, inflation inched up by 0.1 percentage points to settle at 9% as food prices began to bite. Food inflation remains elevated and averaged 13.5% in the second quarter of 2019, which is 4.0 percentage points and 1.6 percentage points higher than 9.5% and 11.9% recorded in the second quarter of 2018 and first quarter of 2019, respectively. The average food inflation for the first half of 2019 is recorded at 12.7%, which is again higher than 9.0% recorded in the first half of 2018. However, non-food inflation remains well anchored, according to Reserve Bank of Malawi. Average inflation for the first half of 2019 is 8.8% and is similar to the average of the first of 2018. Meanwhile, Reserve Bank of Malawi says economic activity is projected to rebound in 2019 after slowing down in 2018. The recovery is premised on improvement in both agriculture and non-agricultural sectors.
Wearing makeup dates back to decades ago, and it is perceived differently by various people within the society. Seeing this as an opportunity, Priscilla Tia Tsamwa opened a makeup manufacturing company, Nyenyezi Beauty, right here in Malawi. In this edition of Budding Entrepreneur, Priscilla tells us more on how she's making money out of makeup.
I was looking for ways to stimulate my mind while doing something that I'm passionate about. I've always loved doing makeup and hair from a young age, and I thought it would be great if I do business in something that I'm passionate about. I source my capital from my pocket money and the other small businesses that I do. My take on young people's access to financial assistance is that in Malawi, I've really seen that there's some organizations that offer capital to some young individuals, but at the same time, I feel like there's a barrier, and the barrier is in order to get a loan to start a business, you need collateral or something. So for collateral, you need about maybe to secure a house or a car, of which I think young people don't really have, and that's the barrier for them to have access to the loans. I feel like my age has helped me to relate with different women of different age groups. For example, young ladies and also older women, because I can relate to all age groups of women, and I think my age doesn't limit me, and I don't really look down on myself because of my age. I feel like it's an advantage as a young person to reach out to everyone. I actually think it does. It does welcome young entrepreneurs like me in a way that our economy is not as good, but also I can't say that it's very bad, because young people are starting up businesses, they're investing in all sorts of businesses, and I feel like so far it's been really good and welcoming. But I still think that in years to come it will get better and we can have a lot of young entrepreneurs. It really took a while. Every business has its own ups and downs, and really starting a business is not easy because there'll be losses, and sometimes there are days where you don't sell. And for myself, like coming up with a totally whole new makeup brand has been really hard, because Malawians really love to buy things they're familiar with, and then to just come up with a new brand on the market, it's been really hard to find customers, and it's been quite a journey. It took a while, but I think so far so good. It actually took maybe about 8 months before I started seeing that, okay, these are the real profits that I'm making from my business. I just had to stay consistent. The first thing I'd advise young people out there is to plan. I think everyone needs to have a plan and a vision for their life. They should write their plans down. And 2, I would advise them to pray about their plans. And 3, to take their plans into actions, and also to work hard in order to achieve their plan or their goal, and to stay consistent, because business is not an easy thing. It has its own ups and downs, but if you're not consistent, it means you can just end up leaving at the end of the day. But I feel like staying consistent, even through the bad days, even through the days where...
Well, with that inspiring story from Priscilla, we also have come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country and beyond. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, well, then it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.